In Sims games, players have a huge toll on their Sims' life. Play with life. Players have a say or can intervene in everything they do. The choices they make, the Sims are friends with, the food they eat, career path they're taking. Though Sims aren't completely passive about this, Sims can express to players what they want. This influences how players use their power to guide their Sims' life. In Sims 2, Sims can express wants and fears. In Sims 3, Sims can express wishes, and lately, Sims 4 has changed its whim system, which is greatly affected by emotions, which was one of its most prominent selling points at the start of its publication. Sims 4 has gone back to the Sims 2 system with wants and fears with different mechanics. Sims 4's perspective on fear tends to portray traumatic implication on Sims' life. Sims 4 took fear literally, so Sims tend to stay away from it and needs to face it head on in order to move on from it. Sims 2's fear system is not a traumatic event, so in my opinion, it's not similar enough with the Sims 4 to say that Sims 4 has refined this feature. They won't be afraid of fires and they don't need to overcome that fear. Instead, Sims 2's perspective is more on the fear of not living a life satisfying enough. Sims 2 fears not living a good enough life. This happens when the player doesn't care about their wants or when things they fear happens in their life. Your Sim will literally break mentally. They're hard to be played normally, and past the breaking point, they literally went insane. For me, this is a fun dynamic. The players is faced with a choice. Would players create a life worth living, or would it be insufferable? And what if a dream life for one Sim is another's living nightmare? All of this is narrated beautifully in this little bar called the Aspiration Meter. The Aspiration Meter is part of the Wants and Fears panel, along with Wants, Fears, and the Sims Aspiration. Beside the Aspiration Meter, you can see the Lifetime Aspiration Meter and the Influence Meter. Aspirations are a Sim's life orientation. It influences what they want and fear, gives players a sense of what their Sim would like to do in their life. There are 8 available aspirations in Sims 2. Each aspiration has its own specific breakdowns. Maybe the residents of this apartment can tell you more. Meet Troy. He is a romance Sim, which means he is in a constant pursuit of romantic endeavors. He absolutely hates the idea of commitment and building a family, but life has brought him to tie the knot with Amora. Amora is a family Sim. This means Amora loves to be surrounded by family and fears of her family breaking apart. Together, they have 3 children, the oldest Dylan, the middle child Lara, and the youngest Nora. Dylan has a popularity aspiration, while Lara and Nora haven't developed their aspiration yet. Instead, they only have the aspiration to grow up. Troy loves Amora, but he can't fool himself. Amora has her suspicions and looks like Troy has some explaining to do. You see, aspiration and compatibility like this makes the family dynamic much more difficult, because the grow up aspiration is greatly affected by family relationships. So their children might have behaviors of being unhappy in their family. They might show tantrums and show signs of immaturity. This doesn't seem like a good time. Let's go upstairs. Meet Aldrich. He is a knowledge Sim, which means he wants to learn about everything and anything. You would think he would learn something by now or do something crazy and weird in the quest for knowledge. But he's here, working. Well, Aldrich has a roommate, Loki. Loki is a pleasure Sim, which means he wants to constantly have fun. He wants to go out, bowling, dining, dating. Going to work is not a part of his to-do list, leaving all the bill burden to his friend, Aldrich. Well, these two have something to sort out. Let's leave them to that. Taylor, your it girl. She strives for popularity, which means she loves her friends and craves notoriety. Though gossip spread like wildfire when she got into a fight with another Sim, someone she once held dearly as a friend. Making enemies sure will hurt her reputation a bit. Taylor's roommate, on the other hand, Lincoln, is not as social as Taylor. He finds it difficult to have his interests accepted and understood by other Sims, which makes it challenging for him to engage in meaningful conversations. You see, he loves grilled cheese sandwiches, so much so that it's all he needs. But not just about any Sim can understand this love. And so one day, he met someone that understood. He might have gone too happy when she called that he completely forgot what he was doing. In the end, he might have burned the whole kitchen down. The only thing worse than that is he is left with a burnt grilled cheese sandwich. Poor guy. Let's go to the top floor. Meet Richard. He is a fortune sim. He's all about swimming in some millions and living a luxurious life. He's now currently living his best life being on top of his athletic career. But the scent of his success might have attracted someone that sees an opportunity at night to visit his apartment room. He lost a lot of things that night, expensive things that he worked hard for. Being a frugal sim that he is, it seems that it's hard for him to recover from this. We can see how satisfied everyone is with their life currently by looking at the aspiration meter. The aspiration meter is driven by aspiration points. It dictates how fulfilled the Sims are. Satisfying a Sim's want will boost the meter, while the realization of a Sim's fears will drain it. The higher the meter, the more fulfilled the Sim currently is. Here, the meter has two main sections. The upper section for a positive score, indicating a fulfilling life. The lower section for a negative score, indicating a miserable life. The upper section is divided into 4 sections. The highest is platinum, below that there's gold, then green high and green low. The lower section is called the distress section, and it is divided into 2. One dictates low to moderate distress, another dictates moderate to severe distress. So essentially, we got low, moderate, and severe distress. The bottom line here is the breaking point, where Sims would go through a mental breakdown. You see that the distances are different, so you can say that it takes fewer points to go from green to gold and more points to go from gold to platinum. The bottom part doesn't follow the same rule. Instead, it is divided into equal parts. The aspiration meter is not constant, but it decays over time. Aspiration decays hourly while a Sim is awake, so no decays occur when Sims are sleeping. The higher the level of aspiration, the faster it decays. In fact, past this line, the aspiration meter doesn't decay at all. It took 32 hours for low to moderate distress and green levels to decay throughout. It took half of that time, 16 hours, for gold to empty, and it took half of that, 8 hours, for platinum to empty. This means Sims might go into aspirational distress when their wants aren't fulfilled for a long time, while the realization of fears accelerates this. But because this section here never decays, the mental breakdown itself can only be triggered by the realization of a Sim's fear. Oh, do you hear that? Amora's mother is here! What a nice surprise! Let's invite her inside. Guess she's not too fond of Troy. Oh, you know what? Seeing her reminds me. Age also affects how easy it is to fill the meter up. It takes fewer points to fill up a toddler's meter compared to an older Sim's meter. Elder has the biggest scale, while toddler has the smallest scale. This is what 5,000 points look like from each life stage. So when you age your Sim up and you notice that the aspiration turned from platinum to gold, it mostly wasn't because the aspiration somehow decays, but because the aspiration meter scale actually got bigger, while the aspiration points stayed the same. Aspiration meter's level will affect the behavior of a Sim. Platinum scores, also indicated by a platinum plumb bob, will make a Sim constantly be in a good mood. You'll see the needs meter turns into platinum. Even when their needs bar is red, they will still perform behaviors as if they have a green needs bar. This means they will perform well at work, accept most social interactions, and work on their skills longer. This is not directly due to the platinum aspiration itself, but rather because of the good mood it provides as a benefit. The platinum aspiration prevents a Sim to stop learning a skill because they've gone too tired. Instead, the Sim can push through until they almost pass out. But do remember that personality affects how fast the need meter decays. The same goes for job performance. Platinum aspiration correlates to a consistent good mood, which will boost the job performance. So if a Sim simply goes to work in a fantastic mood, then they will also receive that promotion. Let me let you on a little tip. Because of this benefit, I used to make my Sims go to work in a platinum meter. Dates are really good for this. I'd usually stop the platinum meter from decaying by making them go to bed or do yoga. If you're really close to gold, just a heads up, it goes down every hour, right on the dot. After that, they would immediately get a promotion at work, even when it's their first day. Aspiration score also affects how long an elder Sim will live. Fulfilled Sims tend to live longer, usually reaching their late 70s or even into their 80s, whereas unfulfilled Sims had shorter life. Usually it is cut short only until their 60s, and a cutscene of them not being ready to leave will play. Elder or adult Sims will obtain a permanent platinum aspiration once they achieve their lifetime want, which is a major goal they strive to fulfill in their lives. As a result, players do not need to worry about maintaining a platinum aspiration. This can also be achieved by maintaining a high aspiration meter day to day, thus maxing out the lifetime aspiration meter. Aspiration score also significantly influences the amount of inheritance they leave behind. The higher the meter, the greater the inheritance. Though do know that kind of family connections and lifetime relationship score also contributes to the inheritance. When Sims are in aspirational distress, they show autonomous behavior that shows how miserable they feel. This behavior progressively gets worse the lower the meter is. For adults and elders, this behavior is called desperation. If the score reaches rock bottom, they would suffer complete mental breakdowns. For toddlers, children, and teens, it's called immaturity. Even though teens have aspirations, they do not display aspiration-specific desperation behaviors or go through mental breakdowns. Instead, like toddlers and children, they would show tantrums once the meter reaches rock bottom. Aspirations or immaturity occurs in 3 phases. The first and second, the mild and moderate, Sim will try to get the player's attention with their thought balloons showing their aspiration icon in blue. In the third phase, the severe, for desperation, the Sim will do an aspiration-specific desperation behavior, and the thought balloons will be in a red, jagged scream style. For immaturity, the Sim will instead throw tantrums. Both behaviors interrupt the Sim's queue of action. There are immature behaviors that toddlers, children, and teens can express. The lower the aspiration meter, the worse and more frequent the behavior will be. It's really sad to see all of these immature behaviors. There are mild ones like playing in the toilet, swinging on the fridge door, doing gross things, and toddlers might also cry, which is really sad to see. Moderate immature behaviors are smashing a dollhouse, ruining an easel painting, which decreases its value, kicking a flamingo. In the severe phase, you'll notice all the immature behaviors in increasing frequency, but there are some that only pop up exclusively during that phase, which are fighting behaviors and strong tantrums. For adults and elder Sims, in the mild and moderate phases, they might worry, and in the moderate, almost severe phase, they might cry. In the severe phase, they would do the infamous aspiration-specific desperation behavior. Family Sims will pull out and cuddle a flour sack marked up to look like a baby. Romance Sim will put a paper plate face on a sponge mop and act like it was their lover. Knowledge Sim will have an intellectual discussion with a ball-wearing mortar hat called Professor Von Ball. Pleasure Sims will put a lampshade with a crudely drawn face on it over their head and start dancing. Popularity Sim will have a lively conversation with a cupstick buddy, a paper cup with a drawn-on face. Grilled cheese sandwich Sims will pull out a cardboard square of a grilled cheese sandwich and kiss or try to eat it. Fortune Sims will beg for money from passing Sims outside of their home. If the meter reaches this line, the Sim will go through a mental breakdown. They will become temporarily undirectable and need a visit from the Sim shrink or the therapist, whom will help them increase their aspiration by 1 level. No other Sim would be able to see the Sim shrink. Here is the peak of the Sims' dissatisfaction with how their life is turning out. Most of the Sims' wants aren't initiated by the Sims autonomously. It is not achievable without the player's interference. Fears, on the other hand, might be outside of players' control, like whether another Sim accepts an interaction or whether a burglar will visit. Players can form a strategy so that Sims do not come across this fear or help Sims to gather themselves and move on from this. Players have the utmost power to fulfill their Sims' wants and keep them happy, or not. Up to the player, really. I know that some might get pressured by it, and I was too. Though now I like that the aspiration meter is here. I like that my Sims are not programmed to be happy or affirm everything I do. For me, it gives me stake. It tells me that they actually have wants in their life that correlates to who they are, and they basically want to have a satisfying life. It gives the players a moment to tend to them. Or the players can swerve in the other direction and make their life even more miserable, which is a choice, but Sims ultimately doesn't just accept everything that happens to them. They can be miserable. This gives player this opportunity, this small window to consider what their Sims wants as well in how they play with life.